Hello friends, we have already seen few things about AI and search methods. We have seen what AI is, and we have seen how to represent problems using state space, and we have seen how to search. We have seen unguided search methods. We have looked at some guided two methods, actually hill climbing and whisper search in earlier module. In this module, we are going to see some other search methods, little better methods of searching. They are called, I'm calling them other search methods. There are some, in fact, we are going to have one more module after that, which we are going to discuss some typical search methods. What is the difference here? The difference here is about the application of heuristic function, nothing other than that. One of them is called simulated hill climbing, for example. A simulated hill climbing is a method where simulated annealing actually. Simulated annealing is basically a superset of hill climbing that we have seen in the earlier module, which allows some random movements in the other direction. We will also see something called variable neighborhood descent, which is again little different, which actually is better for solution search, which we have just seen in the last module. So, all in all, we are going to see how heuristic function is applied in other search methods. We will begin with something called variable neighborhood descent. This is the first other search method that we are going to see. Now, the earlier module we described both methods, which are they are quite common and they are quite general in the sense that many variants of them exist in the real world. Variable neighborhood descent is a little different type of an algorithm. For example, let us again take that solution search method of missionary cannibal problem. Suppose if I have a bunch of states, say 20 different states, and I try to see if this sequence is good enough for me to get a solution. If it is not, what should I do? I may say that I will only change 2 of these states. So, out of 10, if I can only change 2, and again I will say that only 2 consecutive states, I will have only 10 different children. Okay. If I say 3, I will have many more. If I say any 2, I will have again much more. So, point is I can actually decide number of children that I am going to have if I am exploring solution space search. So, if I am using a small number of nodes as an average number of nodes that you produce, number of children that you produce is called sparse neighborhood, and if I have large number of nodes, it is called dense neighborhood. The function which gets me that is called neighborhood function. Now, let me repeat what I am talking about. Given a solution state, I can actually generate multiple solution states from it. Depending on the condition that I use for choosing them, I can have less number of nodes or more number of nodes depending on the function that I choose. It is possible to choose a function which produces less number of nodes, which is called sparse neighborhood function, or I can have more number of nodes, which is called dense neighborhood function. Okay. Why sparse neighborhood is to be chosen? Please understand. And this is not only in the case of missionary cannibal, in fact sparse and dense neighborhood can also be applied in conventional constructive search. For example, let us again take chess. There is something called plausible move generator. A plausible move generator is a program. What does it do? It just looks from the all possible states that you can generate, will only choose some of them. It will not choose all, will choose only few. And plausible, better moves compared to others, okay, something which can lead to solution, consider, okay. It is very similar to a human chess player. For example, if you are playing chess, you will not look at all possible moves, you only look at some which are good, which are better compared to others, okay. And usually when you write a game playing program, play around with game playing program, that function is known as move generator, okay. Okay. And I have already talked about sparse neighborhood and dense neighborhood, and there is something called variable neighborhood. Now, that is little surprising what variable neighborhood could be, but simple. In the initial chess movement, for example, you are moving across, you will not look at all moves, okay. But when the situation becomes critical, what will you do? You will try to actually explore more number of nodes For example, when your king is under attack, or when there is a fork, possibility of fork, you try to explore all possible states, and you become more conscious about. In a way, you are applying dense neighborhood function when the situation becomes critical. As also in the case of AND game, you do that. So that is called variable neighborhood. In the beginning, usually you have a sparse neighborhood, and then you go in depth, you have a dense neighborhood. It is quite possible that you apply the same move gen function, and what will it do? It will actually, for example, will generate 100 possible moves, and out of that it explores only first 20. Okay. In next case, we will explore all 100 and explore only first 5. Okay. So, in case of exploring only first 5 is a sparse neighborhood case, exploring 20 is little more dense, exploring 90 is really dense. Okay. Let us look at this figure. As a chess board, you can have these two states. Now, it is actually possible to have around 20 different states. Moving upon one step further or 2 steps further, and you have 8 pawns, so total 16 actually. So, out of that 16, I am just choosing 2 and not more. So, I am not, or for example, there are 20 moves and I will just choose 2. This is the other example, 2 out of 16, but there is a possibility that there is 20 and then you choose 2. So, what is the saving? Saving is not these moves, but then the entire search trees which are generated by those moves. Okay. For example, missionary cannibal, I have already talked about that, and this slide actually is talking about that again. Take a set of random sequences, a node in the state space, the solution space. Well, when we reach to an unreachable or unaccepted, now there are 2 things. For example, there are states 1, 2, 3, 4, and when you go to a state, you will find a state. Remember, missionary cannibal, there are some states which are not acceptable. For example, when number of missionaries are less than number of cannibals, you cannot accept that state. So, if you reach to a state which is not acceptable, or when you reach to a move which is not acceptable, okay, because it is impossible using the move to move from this state to this state. So, in either case, this particular sequence is not useful. So, what you can do is you can apply variable the neighborhood descent function. If you use sparse, what you can do is you can just replace it by the remaining. Suppose example, there are 10 moves and you reach to 7th move which is not acceptable. So, 7, 8, 9, 10, 4 moves, you can take all combinations of that and try. So, that is one way. And then it is quite possible that you take the entire sequence again, it is huge. So, first example is comparatively sparse and the second one. Okay. Why sparse neighborhood to be used? In fact, it is not good obviously, because you are not exploring all nodes. It is possible that you miss an optimum path, you miss a solution altogether. So, why? For a simple reason that would like to avoid unnecessary calculation of moves. If you avoid 18 moves, for example, the entire 18 subtrees are pruned from the search tree. That is the power. Just take the case of branching factor 20, 3 plies, only 3 levels. In game, the level of tree is called ply. It is 18 into 20 into 20, for 20 being a branch factor. Look at the value, I can't read that. And if it is 4 plies, 144000. In case of 20, 771750 in case of 35. For 5 plies you can see it is going way beyond. Okay. So, that is the saving that you will have. Okay. Obviously, you are paying the price, but if your heuristic function is good enough and you are choosing the best moves, then you are going to save a lot of memory as well as computing power, and you will be able to complete this thing in time. The problems could be, if you are using sparse neighborhood, we might be ignoring some important moves, we might end up being on top of local minima, we may end up on a dead end because you explore only 2 and there are no, both of them are dead ends. Okay. So, better thing is choose the function on demand. For example, you begin with a sparse neighborhood, when you stuck up, when you have a problem, when you have local maxima, try a dense neighborhood and try an alternate route. Okay. Why, when you go for dense neighborhood, okay, why, we have already seen why sparse neighborhood, we like to explore a search space much faster and real time. So, we will use sparse neighborhood, but when you will choose, when you switch over from the sparse neighborhood to dense neighborhood, for one example I have already given later part of the game when it is pretty crucial. for example, key or critical cases like king is under attack and threat of war, which is basically mimicking how human player works, okay, which obviously will take more time, explore more number of nodes and also look at more number of moves and also deeper. Okay. So, when you use this variable neighborhood descent, and why it is called descent, please understand, because the heuristic function value in this case is decreasing and not increasing, but technically there is no difference. For example, if you use a heuristic function called h, which for a better move gives a higher value of heuristic function, what if there is a function called h dash which just negates that value, what you get is a lower value, okay. So, technically there is no difference, is only the magnitude, the sign which actually makes the difference, but otherwise technically there is no difference. That in case of heuristic value being more in the later cases is called hill climbing. In case of being decreased for a good move, this is called valley descending, but okay, these are our choice of words basically, but otherwise it is same. Okay. So, the neighborhood I have already told you that in most cases you use sparse neighborhood in the beginning and then dense at later stages. The process is basically descending and not ascending like hill climbing, and the function obviously is called heuristic function rather than objective function. You may ask why the function is called objective rather than heuristic. Okay, it is just their test, nothing else. There is no technical reason. Okay, the people who worked on it call it objective function. Okay. So, that was variable neighborhood descent. How good is that method? That method is pretty good if you are able to use your heuristics better. Okay, you can even control that thing. That's why that method is better. But you can see I have already told you that this method is actually an extension to our best first search or hill climbing. Okay, you can always add variable descent to either of them and can get a better result. Okay. The other method which we are going to see is called beam search. Now, what beam search is? Beam search is about exploring multiple paths in parallel. Now, you may be surprised why you are doing that. Okay. For example, I am using a depth first search, I am exploring one branch and I may also be exploring one more branch. Now, why that is better? That is better because the current architecture has multi-core, is called multi-core architecture, where you have computers with multiple CPUs in real sense. So, it is good that you explore multiple nodes. Not only that, this is also useful for exploring in real time. I will talk about that soon, what I mean. Okay. You may do that, for example, you may just pick up top 5 okay, nodes in chess kind of, okay, and pick up the best at the end, okay. So, that is fine. In case where backtracking is impossible, for example, chess, if you have taken a path you cannot come back, this is the best method because you are exploring everything in parallel. You choose, if there is a dead end you can always try the other path, but then in chess is not all that good an example, but there is one more example. But anyway, I will talk about that example soon. It provides fault tolerance. As I said, if you stuck up somewhere, the alternate path is going to be useful, and the example that I am going to talk about is called speech translation problem. Assume an assembly of people from multiple countries and the speaker is speaking in one typical language, and there is a program called translator, which what that program does is just listen to what the person is speaking and try to translate that into the language. Okay. For example, somebody is speaking in Hindi and the listener is French. So, the translator is converting that Hindi sentence into a French sentence. Now, it is quite possible, and when the speaker begins with a phrase or two, it is possible that the meaning of statement is possibly in 3 different directions. So, what a translator program will do is explore all these 3 branches together. Now, later on when the speaker utters something else which prohibits one of the branches, the other 2 branches can still be explored. Now, it is impossible for the speech translation program to go back and try other, because it has to be continuously translating everything that the person is speaking. As soon as the person completes the sentence, it is to be translated and delivered to the participant. You do not have time. So, if all possible cases are explored together, if the letter he utters some word which prohibits one of the translations, the other translation can still be tried. That is the power, and that is the usefulness of beam search, because here you do not have time to go back. Similar example is some surveillance case. Okay, you are surveilling something, okay, then something is happening and you will have to take an action based on it. Now, when something is happening, if you are exploring all possible options, you will be able to take an action when something malicious is found to be happening. Okay. So, if you are trying all possible alternatives, you can make that decision. You can't backtrack and then redo it. It is impossible, because everything is happening in real time. You have no time to go back. So, it is better if you explore everything together, and in such a case beam search is one of the best solutions. Here I have shown one example of again I'll pick up our own 853 gallon water jug problem, and I have shown how two paths are explored in parallel. So, in fact, this is not a very good example of two node beam search, but you can assume that these two branches which are being explored are two alternatives for a speech translation. Every node represents some state, some typical word uttered by speaker, and you trying to like translate that statement. So, that is possible. Okay. One more type of search is called taboo search. Now, that is also simple, but quite effective in some cases. For example, you doing hill climbing and you stuck there. Now, if you using pure hill climbing, you can't move forward, it is impossible. So, what is the solution? The solution is that you try something else. You may try one more function. In fact, you trying multiple functions, and if when the one function is not yielding any result, you start applying the other function. So, you use one heuristic function. For example, you use one heuristic function which yields value 4 for parent and 3 and 2 for children. Now, here you are enter into local maxima, you can't move forward. So, what you do is you apply some other function which gives parent say 5, but then 2 children 7 and 9, then you can pick up 9. So, that is one way of doing it. There are other ways of doing it. Maybe one more way of doing it is to pick up something which is not used before, okay, some rare kind of a step. If you go back and look at your our exploration of 853 gallon water jug problem, or if you explore this 3-4 gallon water jug problem and so on and so forth, you will find that in most cases the rare number of nodes are more likely to yield solution. So, it is possible that you choose them, you use something else to choose. So, instead of using the same heuristic function, use some other route. Okay. One more example is replace a move not change for long, something which is not change for long, change it and see if you can reach to some solution. Okay. I have already told you, that is the other one which is quite powerful, is called simulated annealing. It is an excellent example of how one can innovate from some other domain. This basically is derived from an area which is quite unrelated to artificial intelligence, called metrology. It is kind of is one type of engineering, one engineering discipline actually. What does that do? Physical annealing process allows the metal to cool down and reach to a stable state, and it is found that the process of cooling down has a serious impact on the stableness of the result, and it allows some randomness in the movement. What does that mean? It allows a bad move with some probability. Now, this is an important advantage of escaping from local minima. Here, unlike hill climbing, we allow a bad state. So, like from 4 you can go to 3 also, or 2 also, or 1 also, but with some probability, in a way that in the initial run you allow that, okay, some move to a bad state from a current state is allowed, and later stage you do not. So, that adds randomness to movement in the initial run, in a way that you escape from local minima, and it is proved to be quite useful. Okay. A process called random walk is very similar to our generating test. You just pick up a solution and see if it is so. And in hill climbing, you actually pick up the better state. Okay. In here the simulated annealing, the random moves are allowed in the beginning and almost disallow them in the final one. So, it is basically hill climbing, but with little randomness, so you escape from local minima. Let us try to understand the two important principles of simulated annealing. First, a bad move is allowed with some probability, okay, and that probably changes over a period of time. That probably does not remain the same. In the initial run, bad moves are allowed almost with equal probability as of the good move, but later on it is almost 0. Not only that, it's kind of keeping the best so far node as well. So, if you are going down and it is quite possible that you allow a bad move and move to a little worse state, but you still have remembered the good state, so you can always go back to that state. So, because we allow the bad state, you need to have this best so far. So, these are two important principles of simulated annealing. Okay, let us try to understand the process which it derived from. In metallurgy, when the new alloys are made, they are melted at high temperature and they have to cool down in a controlled manner. And to maximize the crystal size of solid this thing, there is something called the annealing schedule which is followed. Annealing schedule is basically how you are going to cool the alloy down. If you do it fast, you will do it in short time, but unlike the slow that thing, what you get is a high energy brittle structure which you do not like. Slow, if you continue, if you do that process in a slow manner, the problem is that it takes a lot of time and that obviously is expensive. So, what you have to do is to reduce the temperature as fast as possible without affecting the stableness of the result, okay, and that actually there is no formula. So, what people do it empirically and find out. The same process actually is used in simulated annealing. How? Look at this. Pick up the start node and make it current. If it is a goal state, quit. Now, you can see that what we are talking about is almost hill climbing, otherwise best so far is current node. Now, there is something different. Pick up the temperature value T from the annealing schedule. Now, what is this? In case of annealing schedule, it says that if the temperature is this, you will have to do this. If temperature is this, you have to do this. But in simulated annealing, there is no temperature. We are talking about machinery cannibal problem on something. So, this temperature is actually an artificial value that we take. Basically, temperature describes or determines the amount of bad moves to be allowed. Okay. So, temperature value is reduced when the temperature value is less probability of moving to a bad move. So, basically T is related to that. How it is related? Let us see. Apply next rule, if no operator is let, return best so far. So, that is if there is very similar to hill climbing. If you reach to a place where it is impossible to apply any rule, a dead end, provide best so far. Now, find out objective function value. Now, here again unlike the other case where we call it heuristic function, this is called objective function. Okay. What is the difference? No difference. Okay. There is no difference, it is just named as objective function. If this value is better, make this a current state and best so far is new state, same as hill climbing, nothing different. Okay. But then there is a difference. Otherwise, in hill climbing we disallow, here we allow with a probability P. How we do that is explained here. The first one, generate a random number R between 0 and 1. Okay, this is our probability. This is what we are going to use in probability. Now, we decide the objective function value of the resultant state. After applying this rule, what we get is a worse state than this. Okay, so, we have to calculate the difference. So, we find out objective function value of a new state minus the objective function value of the current state. So, that is the difference, okay, and calculate the value P, which is probability 1 plus e raised to minus delta E upon T. T is something that we have already read, T is something that we use to control this probability. Delta is the difference between the objective function value of the current state and the new state, okay. Now, how come we have this state? Because it is already there in the original one, it is copied from that, and why it is there? There are some, it is called Maxwell's equation, and why it is designed, there are some description about that as well, which is not part of our this thing. So, we will not be exploring that here. But anyway, this is the equation. We will calculate probability as 1 plus e raised to delta e. Delta is the difference between the previous and the current state, or the current state and the next state that we are trying to explore. Okay. Now, this is the value p, and if our r, which we have randomly picked up, is less than p, then we allow. Now, this is basically moving to that state with the probability p, because if you use a good heuristic function, good random number generator between 0 and 1, it is equally probable, each number is equally probable. So, if you choose say value p is 0.3, so the probability of number generated less than 0.3 is obviously 0.3. So, with that probability we are jumping to that node, otherwise not. Okay. Okay. So, there is one more thing, as I said, people from different domain use different words. So, those who use word objective function use word operator rather than rules. And as I said, objective function is the same thing as heuristic. T is temperature but not real, is basically our remember it is in case of the annealing process, the physical annealing process, temperature reduction is determined based on the empirical values and their results, their experiments. Here also T will decide T. When suppose for example we are solving a problem and then we use one annealing schedule with T values reducing with 1, and then we will use with one typical way of reduction, we will use some other way and so on, and we will find out which works better for that problem and we will use that. Okay. So, that is T value is decided by designer's intuitions and judgment, and that is done empirically, it is done using some practical implementation and comparing with the results, and you use the best one which suits you, suits that problem actually. So, delta is decrement in the value of the objective function. When you are talking about a new state, you see how decrement it happens. Remember why it is decrement, because you are picking up a worst state. P is the probability. What is the annealing schedule? The annealing schedule determines the amount of worst moves to be allowed. Okay. Remember, the higher value of T will let you move to a worst state with more probability than less. Okay. Now, what you do is basically you store this T value in 3-column table. First thing is initial value of temperature, when to reduce it and how much to reduce. Okay. For example, initial value is 20, when to reduce after 10 iterations, how much to reduce 2. So, 20 will happen for first 5 iterations, then reduce by 2, so on. So, that is what it stores, and what you have to do is to look at all the answers and pick up the best schedule, okay, which gives you the answer, in the fastest possible way, and so on and so forth. So, that is about simulated annealing. Okay. In this module we have seen some other heuristic search methods which are actually more used in recent times. One is variable descent neighborhood method, where you use different neighborhood functions which let you determine number of children for a given state. Sparse neighborhood gives you less number of nodes, dense neighborhood gives you more number of nodes. In the initial run you may use sparse neighborhood to probe faster, later cases you should use dense neighborhood to probe deeper. You may use simulated annealing as a method. This is simulated annealing is a method where you allow the worst move from the current move, unlike hill climbing, with a typical amount of probability that is derived from physical process of annealing, and it uses almost similar method for choosing how much with how much probability you allow the incorrect move. Sorry, not incorrect, it is less this thing, a worse move from a current move, and so on. So, simulated annealing is a better method compared to hill climbing, but anyway it is also a superset of hill climbing. Why? Because if you use hill climbing with T value as 0, you only allow moves which are better, which is hill climbing. Okay. If you change that value, you allow some randomness. Usually the randomness allowed is more in the initial part of the search process and less in the lesser part of the search process. With that we end with this module. Thank you.